Hello and welcome everyone. It is time for the best day ever in eFootball Mobile in the FIFA E World Cup because it is time for the playoffs where India has just flown our way to here. And today is the day we decide if we are going high up in the air to reach Riyadh or the flight will land short. But without getting into the nits and bits of that thing, let me introduce myself. But Spartans, I'll be your host for the day and joining me on the desk is Mr. Skate. Skate, the journey in the group stages has been phenomenal. But now it is time for the playoffs, where we are going to face the mammoths, the Goliaths of the other groups.
The big day out here, right now. That's one of the big things. And my whole point out of here is that, yes, there's a lot of things that happened yesterday. We faced up Korea. That was a big win coming in for us on day number 1, if I'm not wrong. Then there were things that did not really go well on day number 2. Korea was the only team who was able to defeat India out here in terms of the group stages as well. But it's very rightly mentioned by you that it's not just about what we faced in our own group, but now what we're going to face on forward. Because this is Group B and Group A both combined in the knockout. So it's going to be super fun to see how things are going to happen here on right now. I want to see how India will perform against the big names like Thailand and all of those teams that qualified all the way from Group A, like Japan as well. But since we're having a look at all the results of day number 1, almost undefeated run with only Vietnam making that draw against India. But the day 2 results, yeah, they were pretty changing.
Well, to be honest, like the game against New Zealand was a big surprise that we were not able to score a single goal in the entire game, but it didn't even matter much. We were still the table toppers, we will claim that throne. But the defeat that we conceded against Korea Republic, that is something we need to be a bit careful with. Because in the upcoming matches, we have to face Thailand, we might have to face Japan. Although the seeding is there, we will have a look at the seeding already since the Group A table toppers are going to face the bottom of the Group B. That is going to be the 4 standing teams. And since Group B has been topped by Team India, we will face the 4th place team in Group A. So that matchmaking will definitely come into play since now it is time for the playoffs. The double elimination phase has to begin. And in double elims, we know if you are in the upper seed, you still have a chance, but that sword of getting elimination is still swinging on your head.
That's one of the big things, right, which you mentioned, that sort of elimination on your head. That's something you've got to be wary about. You need to make sure that you win those two games. And I think so at this point, Daniel, he's going to be that one guy, he's like, it's absolutely fine. Whatever's happening. My whole point is that I need to look forward to what the games are going to be for me, what's basically inside of the knockout stages. So I think that's going to be something of the most important out here right now. There were a lot of statistics out there previously, which we'll talk about that too as we have a look at the knockouts bracket out here right now. Thailand facing against Korea Republic. Malaysia, they're going to be facing against Indonesia. India's got Brunei Darussalam out here, while Japan will be facing Hong Kong. Now, Brunei Darussalam was a team, I think so, in terms of matchup, we've got the better end of the stick.
Well, that is indeed true. We have the best matchmaking possible right now, and this is the biggest reason why you have to be the toppers from your group. If you top the group, there is a possibility that you get an fairly easier opponent, although you cannot underestimate them since even they have qualified in the top 4 from Group A. But now facing Brunei instead of going against Thailand or teams like Japan, so that's a breathing sign for us. The first game have to be pretty much easier. But now if you look at the overall view of the playoffs of how it is going to be played, it's a double elim format. Upper bracket quarterfinals, you win one, you go to the upper bracket semifinals. And if you win the semifinals, you are going directly to Riyadh. But if you lose there, you go to the lower bracket, and then from there, you just have to win one more game to make your way to Riyadh. All in all, in today's playoffs, 2 victories means you are going ahead in the phase, and 2 losses means you are going to be eliminated. As simple as that.
Very basic, straight up out here right now. And in all of that chaos, ladies and gentlemen, we've got this man who's navigating through all of these turbulences. We've got the man who's now ready to fly even higher and go towards Riyadh. We've got Danial out here representing India, the eTiger. He's now facing Brunei Darussalam on the other side. It's going to be a very neck-to-neck matchup as it's the knockout stages, and this is going to be a double-leg format. No draws, no extra time, no penalties. You've got 2 legs to play in, and if both of those legs are basically ending up in a draw, both the scores are going to be equalized, then we'll go into the third game in which there will be the point of golden goal. The one who scores the first one will eventually win. But before that, you've got 2 games to look forward to. India, Brunei Darussalam. The first thing and the first shot was actually from Brunei.
Well, quick counter from their side. And if you look at the squad as well, they are running Ruud Gullit up top. We have seen Van Basten as well somewhere down the line. And then Ole Romioni as well in the mix. So quite unique cards. But now India with CR7 heads the ball down back to Pele. But Pele just missed placing the pass to the centre back. And now Ruud Gullit finds Bastian. Good block.
Perfect.
Patrick Vieira being the last player to make that interception, making sure that Van Basten gets no space inside the box. But now another cross from Brunei. They are looking very dangerous at this point. Multiple attacks, and it has only been 15 minutes into the game.
Absolutely. And this is something that India will have to be a bit more careful about. You don't want to repeat what happened with Korea Republic. And guess what? This time the fortune did not really favor him. Lovely sliding tackle coming in from Brunei, stopping that rebound attack out here as McAllister wanted to send it out forward. Romney, he's got the ball right now. Tackled at the perfect moment. It's going to be on the other side now. And at the same time, Patrick Vieira is also trying to control it. Will be able to steal this one away.
Oh. It could have been, those moments where it is looking nervy for the eTiger at this point. Because generally, the game looks fairly easier for us, but now it is time for Pele to get towards the goal. Another cross might be in the making. It is, and Romario!
Oh my God.
Off target from that angle. Things that could have been converted, but the chance goes begging.
It was a nice opportunity out here right now, which you rightly mentioned. But yeah, could not get converted out here. It's going to be something that we'd have to look at one more time a little bit later. Some changes now coming in on the other side. India is still running in with the exact same composition, with the exact same formation. Brunei, on the other hand, are the ones who are using the same diamond formation which you've constantly been talking about.
and they look pretty deadly with it already. Because the way Brunei are playing right now, it looks like one of
It's
those
going to be
games
something,
where
of an interesting engagement between both of these teams. Out here, Buffon is going to be sending it all the way back. The header will be won by India. Pele passing it over all the way back. Stanisic controls it. Wanted to go for a lofted pass. Eventually intercepted by the other side. Cristiano Ronaldo. Header one. Romario is going to control it. Lovely tackle by Saliba. Will be sending it all the way to Nicolo Barella. Passed up forward. Romney. Perfectly tackled. Lovely defense coming in from Danial. He's controlling it perfectly. The 1-2 pass is impeccable. That's where his strength lies. He's been sending it back to Pirlo. Romero moving it back to McAllister as it is going to be Hazard who will still control the ball. Got to check out here. Hazard all the way out, up close. Nico Barella. It's going to be Pirlo sending it back to Hazard. Blocked up by between. Again, it's a pretty fast-paced game out there from the other side. Ruud Gullit almost taking this one home, but Pirlo will be sending it to Romario. All the way out. Lovely possibilities. It's going to be Pirlo. Sends it back, but will be blocked in by Buffon on the other side.
no, the first half coming to a close there. And this looked like a game where India do have a lot more possession, but the chances that were created were majority of the time from Brunei's side. And I really didn't expect that. Because at this point, Brunei, with the formation that they are running and the type of play style they are bringing in, they look like a pretty lethal squad already. And India, despite the fact we have 66% of the possession, we are still not able to score a single goal.
Right now, the only other team that had managed to stop India from scoring any kind of goals out here in the starting few phases was New Zealand. Apart from that, every other team, they've been conceding goals from the side of India. So Brunei, Darussalam, interesting with the way how they're playing. Cristiano Ronaldo confirming there should be a score. Pirlo in the perfect moment, perfect space, and with a perfect shot, will open things up in style. Fantastic play from Danial. Stealing the ball away, making a move from the left wing, and then passing it along the lines. Cristiano Ronaldo making that run with Pirlo in middle.
Well,
This is one of the biggest things that happens out here.
the counter attack, man. Such beautiful counter attacking football there. 1-2 passes and then 3 players running directly at the defenders. And CR7 just holding off the defender and Pirlo just getting ahead of Vieira. Enough time taken to take a driven shot, and this was so much needed from us at this point. Since we had a lot more possession, but the chances were just not able being converted. But with this lead, a cushion has now been created, and with this cushion, we just have to make sure that we still keep it in our favor. But Roleo Mioni steals the ball away. But Rodri is there for the interception, takes the ball back to Eden Hazard. But Romario, before he could receive the ball, Patrick Vieira is just marking him every time he goes near to the ball.
I mean, at this point, Brunei Darussalam is a team that has been constantly man-marking out here. And this has been one of the big things. Making sure that the ball doesn't go towards the other side. Now that gives him more chances to try and make those counter plays. Van der Ven is going to be sending it all the way back in the center. Pirlo will pass it over to Hazard. There's a chance. Another counter. Pirlo. Oh my goodness. Romario could have gone in for the play. Danial was just a little bit slow in terms of passing that ball out here. That could have been the second one. Pirlo is going to be passing it all the way back to Gigi Buffon. So it still will be held out here. Romario is going to catch it. No, Patrick Vieira steals it all the way back in yet again. Have to go and check out as it's yet again a back and forth. Cristiano Ronaldo sending it to Romario. Eden Hazard making a run. Still out there over towards the edge. But it doesn't matter. It's going to be sent all the way back in. A 1-0 lead right now for India. Lovely through ball. Nico Barella. He's going to control it. But all the angles for the shots have been blocked. And Van der Ven was able to defend it perfectly. Not able to clear it properly. Nico Barella is going to be moving in. A header being sent in. It's still outside and will be caught by Buffon. No problems whatsoever. Massive performance coming in from the side of Brunei Darussalam. I thought it's going to be an easy matchup, but guess what? That's not really the case. A through ball, but a little bit too much power in that. So still will be taken in by the other side. India controlling it. Eden Hazard passes it. And Dupolo will be tackled in. Patrick Vieira has provided so much value to Brunei Darussalam out here. This is just absolutely insane. Romario is going to be sending it all the way. Eden Hazard. A lot of space over towards the left wing. Doesn't want to go in for the shot. Will send it back. Header doesn't matter. Buffon moves out. Controls the ball. Header stolen away on the other side. Back to Perlo. Doesn't have a lot of stamina, so you've got to play in with some players all the way towards the back. Pele wants to make a run. Tries to rush it down. Another header chance, though. Romario is the man out there, not Cristiano Ronaldo. Otherwise, this would have been something entirely different. A through ball to Nico Barella will be stolen at the very last second as India will be able to defend the lead of that one goal. India 1, Brunei 0.
A first leg, and it was so close there, Skid.
Yeah.
Match which looked like could have gone in any of the side. We just take the first advantage right now. But also, keeping in mind that this is a 2-leg tie, we still have to make sure that the other 90 minutes that are to be played still goes in our favor. We just have 1 goal advantage, and the aggregate scoreline is still not enough for us. 1 goal is a very marginal error, and with just 1 single goal, we need to make sure that we keep ourselves as compact as possible, since Brunei, they are looking crazy out there.
At this point, with the way how Brunei is playing, yeah, I think so. There are a few things you'd have to be very careful about. That those counter chances that they are constantly creating, right? Just one proper counter, and things will become very difficult for you. And you don't really want to see that happening for Danial out here. I could clearly see that him trying to go in for quite a lot of those shots, but I believe he's keeping the ball for half an extra second. I could clearly see that there would have been 3 possibilities for him to score, specifically that one lofted through ball that he was about to send for Romario. He was making that run. He almost beat the defender, but just because the pass was not made on time, Romario had to stop so that he doesn't go offside. And that broke his entire pace. So that one through that could have been made, it did not really work out on the other side, but it's absolutely fine. I'd have to say, man, as long as Patrick Vieira is playing on the field, Brunei is going to defend like maniac.
Oh, that is so true. That guy is man-marking Romario every time possible. Like, any opportunity that arises, he is there to block that passes lane. But similar duty has been done for us as well at the same time. Patrick Vieira was marking Ruud Gullit. A lot more chances could have been created on their end. But we still survive. It is still a 1-goal buffer in our favor. But we need to keep in mind that in the next 90 minutes, we need to make sure that we don't concede early. Since Brunei, we look like a very dangerous side.
They do look like pretty dangerous out here right now. I 100% agree. You've got to be pretty careful about that. You can't really rely on just a 1-goal lead out here. So that's something I'm pretty sure they're going to be keeping in mind. We'll have to wait and see how the second one follows through, as ladies and gentlemen, because again, this has been pretty impeccable performance coming in from the side of Brunei Darussalam. At this point, I mean, if you really think about it, right, India has been in a bit of a dominating state throughout the group stages. That's the knockouts, man. Every other team, all the 8 teams out here, they are equally capable of flying towards Riyadh. So, just have to wait and see how this one's going to be going on. And as of now, I'm pretty sure that the second match is going to win pretty soon as well. At the end of the day, is this 1-0 that needs to be kept up. If anything, that needs to be brought up, ladies and gentlemen. What's going to happen in game number 2? We'll find that out after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Man, oh man, with the first leg like that, so neck and neck, so very close. It seems like two fighter jets flying at the exact same speed and the exact same height. But who is going to make sure to take that final big leap and last longer in this flight to Riyadh? We'll find that out in the second leg, ladies and gentlemen, as the knockouts game continues. It's a double elimination bracket, so you will not be eliminated once you lose, but you definitely be put down over in the lower bracket. And Brunei are one step closer to that, as India are leading 1-0.
An aggregate scoreline advantage is what we need at this point, and right now we are going to double that up since Polo inside the box, driven finish, and we have it. 10 minutes the second game. It's Andrea Polo with the brace overall. Scored the second goal for our eTigers, and with that, India, we take an aggregate advantage of 2-0 against Brunei. We are getting one step closer to Riyadh Scared.
One step closer, one small step at a time. And my goodness, the defense that was broken, so fantastic, you know. We've constantly seen Danial going in for a very centralized attack, trying to get his players a bit more central. This time around, it was a little bit outside of the last box out here. Look at that. Look at that positioning. Picture perfect. Because the defense was pretty centralized. There was some space opened a little bit over towards the side. Now, yes, it is a tight angle. It is difficult to shoot the ball in the back of the net from that part. But a far post shot, a driven finesse, which you rightly mentioned, was able to do that trick for him. Now, the thing is, he needs to not just keep this 2-0 goal lead. He needs to make sure that he stays ahead out in this competition. You do not want to go for that golden goal, my man. It goes down to a 50-50 luck factor, I'm telling you.
That is so true. And at this point, it is completely in our hand how we progress the game. We are 2-0 up. We have complete advantage into the game, and we are still inside the box. And Andre Polo with a perfect cross. CR7 on the end of it. Takes the first shot, misses that out. GG Buffon. He is directly standing like a wall, but CR7 hits his head straight on the wall there.
My goodness, you could clearly see the expression of Danial as well on that when he was like, oh my god, that should have gone in. And then he also had a chance of getting it back inside the back of the net if that wasn't a tackle, if that ball rebounded into his leg. But since it was defender who was controlling it, it ended up being a tackle. And then it was gone in for a goal kick. Lovely save by Buffon. And this is one of the big reasons why this Italian keeper is one of the most loved keepers of all time as well. It just becomes so difficult to try and push the ball past this man. Only a few that I've actually seen that can match the capabilities of this guy.
But at this point, like if you look at Buffon and Schmeichel, like these two lads have something different when they played against India. These guys have made so tremendous saves, and now by looking at the things, Ruud Gullit was the one who was getting closer to the goal through. But now again, getting a shot on target is still a dream for Brunei. They are getting closer to the goal, but a perfect shot is still to be found. The defensive line looks pretty strong. Their chance creation is also pretty nasty at this point, but they are not clinical at all, and it is working wonders in India's favor.
I mean, I'd have to say it's Daniel's defense. You can constantly see he's not letting that very last through ball go. That has been one of the nemesis for India, and that is what was abused by South Korea to win this one game. But this is the big thing that has been happening. Oh, all right. Patrick Vieira eventually getting a yellow out here. But be careful when you put a tackle from this man out here now. It's going to be a pass, maybe a header inside to try and maybe even up the scoreline in this one game and then decrease the lead though. Still going to be Ruud Gullit controlling it, continuing to move it through though. Another tackle out here. Still going to be stolen by Onana. Not a perfect pass. So a bit of a problem coming in. Another bad pass. It's Nico Barella. Romney sends it back in as the shot was taken by Gullit. But Buffon on our side is able to keep that one outside the net. That was one of the closest chance that Brunei has got till now.
They are knocking on the door right at this point. But now, with the first half coming to a close, we just need to mark all these counters, and Rodri, he is there for the perfect interception. Although, the midfield is just trying to clear the ball away, and Pele finds the pass to Romario. CR7 can be through on goal. There could be a perfect opportunity, and CR7, a heel flick to Pele, driving inside the box. Another through pass. CR7 takes the shot, and this time he sends it home. CR7 gets the second one in this match, a third one on the aggregate, and the first for himself. 3-0 is the scoreline that we lead, and with that scoreline,
it is very likely that we are going to the semi-finale.
My goodness gracious, what a play coming in from him. It just feels absolutely beautiful to watch. This is just something of a beauty out here. If you really think about it, constantly you're seeing this man perform up to such a good level. Finally finding that breakthrough over this time from the left-hand side, or rather, again, it was from that right wing which we've constantly seen him getting a bit aggressive on. Constantly puts the pressure out on the other side. Now again, the last touch tackle coming in, Pele. And this should be the end of that extra time. Massive play coming in. Hold on a second. Last attack out on the other end. It's finally going to be caught up. And with this, we will have the end of the first half. Brunei 2-0. They're losing. But the big thing is, in the aggregate scoreline, they need 3 goals in 45 minutes.
And that's a big number to achieve. And even if they get the 3 goals, keeping a hypothetical situation, it will still be a draw.
Yeah.
So that is a very big shot that is still required from Brunei's side. So
Absolutely.
how things are going right now, they are not able to get a perfect shot on target. The only opportunity they had was a 180 turn from Ruud Gullit. They are trying to get inside the box, but the clear chances are still to be arrived. And this is a perfect way of defending against I would say, aggressive Brunei side. They have a lot more chances. They have a lot more control over the central attacking of the pitch. But when it's come to the final half, Daniel, he knows exactly what Ruud Gullit is capable of. He is not agile enough to quick turn. He just marking the shoulder out, and if you don't allow Gullit to turn, there is no shot power whatsoever. Perfect way to defend, and with that, like 3-0 up, I don't see us going out from here.
Oh my goodness, this is something, I'd still not really fully rely on. I'd have to say there could be a few other things into the mix. You can't really catch Brunei out like that, right? Even in a console run, it was Brunei, Darussalam, who eventually took that one away from us. But guess what? Seems like Danial out here, he's the man who's always loving those revenge, regardless of where he's taking from. But this is going to be something that I absolutely love. This man, again, having the opportunity to try and get something back for our boys who could not perform or at least reach those knockout stages in the group stages. I want to see this man to win both of those games early on, but at the same time, with the amount of entertaining that he's giving us, I'm absolutely loving it out here right now as the finally half begins yet again. Last opportunity for Brunei to try and steal this one again.
CR7 already on the receiving end. First time pass and a first time shot from Romario. 3 minutes into the second half, Skid. We take another goal, and this time it is the Brazilian centre forward. Everybody who is capable of striking the ball in the back of the net is taking their chances, and everybody sending it home. 4-0 up is what we are having in our favour. 4-0 on an aggregate. An impossible scoreline for Brunei to overcome. And with that, road to Riyadh is just one step away.
Just one step is all you need. 3-0. And this is, again, as you rightly mentioned, it's probably the final nail in the coffin right now. But India still need to keep this lead. And I love the fact how it only took one game for Danial to understand the kind of defensive strategies that Brunei are actually going for. I am absolutely loving it. Through ball, lovely lofted through. Cristiano is going to be controlling it right here, right now. No other chances to pass it through. Wanted to go for a bit of a sprinty touch out there. Didn't really work out for him. A bit too much power onto that one, but it's absolutely fine. That is still, again, a massive lead that India has to keep. And, with the way how Danial is defending, I'll have to say, the best offense starts from the defense. And that's what he's been doing consistently out here right now. Patel with a lofted pass is going to shoot it in. Not the perfect shot out here. Was an easy save for Buffon. And now he's just farming goals.
60 minutes on the clock, 30 more minutes plus stoppage time is what remains into the game. And I'm so glad, Skid, that you brought that point up, that Danial required just one game to understand what is going wrong in the first game.
Yeah.
That only 90 minutes he has played against Brunei this time around, and he exactly figured out what the defensive structure looks like. Why his attackers are not able to make runs, why his attacking third looks like a lackluster. Maybe it could be the man marking, maybe it could be the way Brunei were defending him.
Yeah.
In the second game, a lot more through passes, a lot more lobbed through passes, and then finding the space behind the defenders. And just look at that. Again, a similar structure, finds the ball, although has been out of bounds, a goal kick will be given. But the idea from Daniel's side is just perfect.
I absolutely love it. It's again, on his defense, he's just making sure that the last pass does not go through. He's always blocking those passing lanes. And then on the offense, he's just trying to, if you really look at it, he passes to Cristiano Ronaldo in a lofted pass through midfield because he knows Ronaldo will win those headers whatsoever. And then from there, he sets his play up. It has always been like that. A pass from mid to Ronaldo, and then he sets up either to Pele or passes it to Hazard, depending on who the player is. Maybe sometimes even Romario if he's standing there. And I love that kind of strategy. You're utilizing your player to the fullest potential right now as Romario makes his way from the left wing out here. Chance for cutback. Lovely. Pele open. This should be a driven finesse. Lovely placement. As that's the fourth one out here for India, and the aggregate scoreline increasing to 5-0. India are soaring through this first match of the upper bracket.
Everybody just striking the ball. This time it was from the left wing to the right and then inside. And Pele is definitely not missing those sitters. So comfortable on the attack.
Yeah.
And looks like we have figured out the key. David Beckham, just a standing statue there. Could not even mark that pass. Like, it is so fast that before you can think where the ball is going, the shot has already been taken. 4-0 in the second game itself. First goal in the first match. Overall, a 5-0 advantage. And Brunei, they are in the quarterfinals. They will not go home even if they lose this match. But the thing is, their attacking sequences look deadly, but they are not clinical enough.
It's just those last few seconds. Look at that. This one exact last part to Hullet. It was blocked off again by Danial. You're always loving to see what he's trying to do. And again, those defenders have been winning those headers, right? This was not the case when we were playing Korea Republic. That was a problem which we were encountering. A bad pass coming in.
A mistake.
Yeah, Jan Koller should be able to take this one shot. Doesn't really go in as no space was provided to move inside the box. But still, I don't think so. 1 or 2 goals are now going to cut it either ways now. There needs to be 5 consecutive goals to try and equalize this half. So yeah, even though if there are 1 or 2 goals that will go for Brunei's way, it doesn't matter at this point. India has won their first game. So yes, Daniel would just need to focus on one more right now. But the big question is, how many more goals can he score so that he can keep the momentum for his second game today?
I think by the look of things that 6-1 is coming on the way, but okay. Last ditch defense there. Romario just shoved off the ball. But more than scoring more goals, I just want Daniel to keep a clean sheet. Clean sheets are always the most difficult things to maintain. And we know how attacking this football is. And Romario, although he's trying the long range finish, and he is very capable of scoring that. He has done a lot more times in the past, but today is not the angle. 5 minutes remaining in the game, more like formalities before we move to the semi-finals and one step closer to Riyadh. I still want that the scorelines remains the same where Team India, we win the game, but with a clean sheet.
At this point, that clean sheet is exactly what we required. Only a few more minutes. Oh my goodness.
Now, 5 minutes has been added as well. Van de Ven needs to win that header, and he is winning those, but McAllister steals the ball away. Back to Armando Onana. Back to Rodri. Lob passes, clearing the ball. The last 60 seconds remaining in the first quarterfinals, and it is India who are going ahead. No competition whatsoever. The first leg was closer, but the second leg was sheer dominance from Danial. 63% possession, 7 shots, 4 goals converted. And this guy has been phenomenal.
Absolutely.
The expectations we had from him, he definitely had over-delivered.
True.
With this victory, we are getting one step closer ahead and into the semis now. One victory, off to Riyadh after that.
Absolutely. Just one more victory needed at this point. That's going to be the main focus out here right now. I absolutely love it. With the way how Daniel was playing, the defense looked absolutely perfect. Yes, in the first game, he was not able to attack that much. Still a 1-0 goal advantage. That's what he was able to cook up. And then in the second one, it was just barrage of goals, one after the other. Slight few mistakes out here and there, but he kind of messed up the passes left and right? But that's absolutely fine. Winning this one game was the main thing.
Yes.
Since he was able to do that, now he's going to have a smooth sailing up. But again, it's not over until it's over. One more knockout game remains out here right now, and I kind of want to have a look at the fixtures one more time to figure out which one of those two teams will he be playing, right? Because I believe it would be either Japan or it would be Hong Kong. And let's be honest, Hong Kong, yes, they were in our own group. We've had a very smooth track record against them, but Japan is the team which I'm pretty sure Danial would like to play against.
And keeping in mind that yesterday, even in the interview segment, he mentioned that Japan is a very stronger side and he surely wants to play against them. And this is what champion do, right? You have to play the best opponent to learn from them and then to beat them to get even better. So I just want to see how the double brackets looks like. What are the results in the other games as well? How has Thailand been playing, since they are definitely one of the strongest teams. They had somewhat around 34 points in Group A, if I'm not wrong. The most dominant score till now, I believe.
At this point, yes, I agree. That's another team who's constantly been winning against all the other teams. And you rightly mentioned, right? Thailand, one of the most dominating teams till now, had the longest streaks. I was talking to you about some of the facts out here, and I was looking at some of them, right? I was having that overview of things. In the group stages, it was India who scored the maximum number of goals per match. That was 3.23. They've also scored the maximum number of goals overall. That is 42. That is still 3 goals more than Thailand. But again, it was considering the fact that there was Guam in our own group as well. They were struggling a lot, a 10-0 scoreline in one of those games. So that's one part of it. But on the other end of the spectrum, the team that had the longest win streak was Thailand. So that clearly showcases their strength and their class. So I agree. If we've got to keep them neck to neck, right, put them together and see which one of them looks a little bit more daunting, I will say it's Thailand. But if you're really talking about the matchup between both of them, I'd still say we're winning it.
Well, that is definitely a result I would like to see. But hey, it will be an interesting matchup whatsoever. But at this point, what I'm looking at is Japan versus Hong Kong game. That match is fairly exciting. Japan has still 1 goal advantage over Hong Kong, and the winner of that match is going to face us after this. So the result of that game matters a lot when it comes to the qualification level, since the format is pretty much simple. These are the double elimination brackets, and a total of 4 teams will go ahead from here to Riyadh, and those 4 teams are divided into 2 separate segments, where the upper bracket winner of the semi-finals will go ahead. Basically, the grand finalists from the upper seed are going to Riyadh, and then from the lower seed, you have to win 2 matches back to back. That is what you want. Overall, 2 victories in the playoffs will send you through, and that is it. Out of the 2 victories, India have secured 1. If we secure another victory in our name, we are going straight up to the FIFA E World Cup Grand Finale.
Big trophy out here. You were just 2 steps away from picking that one up last year. That is what happened with Danial. And it's the loss on the big stages that always haunt you. And it cannot be sated until and unless you win on that very stage. So that is where Danial would be eyeing out for. That is the trophy he wants. So all of these knockout stages are nothing but some small hurdles for him. And he's clearly showcasing that as well, continuing his class even right now. And as we were talking about it, right, it's going to be either Japan or it's going to be Hong Kong who will finally play against India. And I'm pretty sure right now it is Japan who've actually got a bit of an advantage right now. They won the first game against Hong Kong 2-1, and the second one's been going 1-1 till now. So it is pretty close, I must say. I believe Daniel's going to get at least 1 wish of his true.
I don't know if that was a wish or maybe he was just speculating that you don't have to face Japan. Since you definitely want an opponent where you have a comfort zone, I believe. Especially when qualifications comes into perspective, you're like, yeah, I have played Hong Kong earlier, should be an easier matchup from India's perspective at least. And when you play a team that you have faced earlier, there is a lot less of complexities going on. And as we talk about complexities, Brunei did put up a great challenge against us. The first match was a very deadly one. Like, Brunei almost had 3 chances created, but those chances were barely stopped. The defensive line was working wonders, but at the same time, our attacking side looked a lot lackluster. But now, with that thing said, we are still waiting for the result between Japan and Hong Kong. The winner will face us, and that match will surely be very exciting.
It's going to be pretty exciting, which you rightly mentioned out here. And I really want to see which one of them is it going to be. Pretty close matchup. At the end of the day, it's again something that we've always talked about. that regardless of which team it is from our own group, it's always way too close. And I think so. It's already been done, right? I've got to get the confirmation on that one right now. Or maybe there's been a few things that were happening left, right, and center. Maybe the last thing I know, it was 84th minute and the scoreline was 1-1, and I believe they had a tech issue after that. So that's something that they're probably fixing on the other end. But all in all, yeah. Again, if it's Hong Kong, I'm not that worried. But if it is going to be Japan, now that's going to be something interesting, and I want to see how we will be dealing with them right now. Having a look at the aggregate scoreline again for India and Brunei Darussalam. It was a 5-0, ladies and gentlemen. Just one step away from boarding the flight of Riyadh. Will India be able to fly towards there, or will the flight face some slight delays? We'll find that out after this short break. oh man, with the way how things have been, that one long rest is exactly what the players needed out here right now as Danial starts things off, and it's Japan taking on India in the upper bracket semi-finals, ladies and gentlemen. The winner will qualify to Riyadh, and guess what? The things kick off in style for the men in blue. The eTigers out here starting things on a fiery note as Danial wanted to open things up quickly with that first one, but Shubhank, it seems like this match is going to be a little bit more tough.
Well, looks like it. And also keeping in mind that the previous game that Japan had against Hong Kong, it was a close-knit match even there. So there is a possibility that they are not in that hotshot form. So that is on the positive note from our end. But by the look of things, he's just running down the wing and he's making sure that Patrick Vieira is not coming closer to him. And the way the passing style is working for Japan, it looks like they want to run a very possession-based game at this point.
Seems to be that way right now, but for now it's going to be the possession in the favor of Indians. Eden Hazard to Cristiano Ronaldo, lovely through ball to Romario, but a little bit too close to the keeper. That angle was pretty tight for him to make that one, but still the ball is in control of Pirlo. Sends it to Pele, will be sent back in. Cristiano Ronaldo, or rather Thuram on the other side was also there. They both wanted to go for the header, but it went in for the keeper. Not a big problem whatsoever for either one of those sides, but the ball still being controlled by the boys in blue.
Another through pass. CR7 inside the box. He wants to cut it back. The pass angle has been blocked. Back to Stanisic. Pirlo heading it down. Pele could not control it, but he's trying to win the possession back, and he will. But CR7, a bit ambitious pass to find him. But Patrick Vieira, he is so ever present in the back line.
It's coming. First goal is obviously almost out here though, but still it's being very well defended by the Japanese. We always know these men to be very resilient, and that's exactly what's happening. Nesta is going to pass it to Snyder. He wanted to look for that one proper counter attack. Bebeto on the other side wants to push it to Snyder. He will be able to take it, collect it perfectly, sends it back. The header goes in the back of the net. As is the Japanese who find the first one. Kylian Mbappe to open things up with that header of his. Not the perfect start for India, but a dream one for Japan.
1-0 up already into the game, and a perfect counter attack there. Running down the wing, and the body pressure. Oh man, also a bit unfortunate from our end that the clearance was somehow intercepted as a slight tackle. Like Patrick Vieira, instead of going for the headed clearance, he went down on the ground. Yeah. Something weird happened there, and I'm not sure what was the plan behind it. Maybe some misclicks here and there, but whatever the case was, Japan has taken the lead. And at this point, they are in complete control since the possession right after the kickoff has been stolen away.
Instantly, but will be taken back in. Ambitious play coming in from the other side though. Cristiano Ronaldo wants to go in for a lob through. Pirlo. Cafu is also there on the other side. The lovely pass from Mario. He almost had an opportunity, but instantly taken away on the other side. And right now, Van de Ven is going to be pushing it all the way back to Hazard. But India needs to find a breakthrough to equalize the scoreline.
For sure. But it's not coming in the first half, I believe. The first half coming to a close. 1-0 advantage for Japan. Although the possession has been completely controlled by the eTiger, but at this point, the possession does not matter much. It is more about the clinical finish.
Yes.
Although, when we faced Brunei, it was a similar score line against us. We just 1-0 up. And we barely scored in that match. Although, despite the fact we have a lot more possession and a lot more attacks.
Yeah.
But at this point, we both know that Danial likes to take his time, maybe a match or so, and then breaks the code what opponent is running. So there is a big opportunity still in front of us.
True.
There are 3 halves to be played before the conclusion of the semifinals comes in. And also, just reminding you guys that the winner of this match is surely qualifying to Riyadh.
Oh, and guess what? The eTigers want to be that first one to try and equalize that. Right now, the header being thrown in. It's going to be punched all the way out right now, but Andre Pirlo is still there. It's going to send it back in. Not the perfect place to be at. It's going to be brought back in. Oh, Luka. Almost taking it up. The central passing line blocked by Rodri on the other side. Gilitsoy, Koku. Ready to move it around though on the other side. It's still through. The back and forth pass, lovely through, a lovely placement on the back of it. What a play coming in from Japan. That's a 2-0. And it's Gilitsoy to increase the lead to the second one.
What's going on in that passing department? Lob passes to just tiki-taka through balls in the back of the net. No man marking whatsoever. Then just look at that back pass, double inside, gets back to the striker, completely unmarked, and Patrick Vieira just standing there as an observer. Oh, this should have been blocked, but this run and the pass is so perfect that no opportunity for the defender whatsoever.
Yes.
We are down 0-2. We still have a lot more time into the game. It is just 60-minute marker that has been touched, and entire game after this has to be played again. So somewhere around 120 minutes is what we are looking for to make the comeback happen.
Yeah, that's 120 seconds to make the comeback happen. But guess what? This is the third one. There's no way he's missing that one. The rebound goes back in. Japan is absolutely destroying Danial here. Another one in succession. Now you say 120 minutes remaining, Spartas. Are you still going to stand on that one? Because that's not just for us. That's also for
That's
Japan.
Japan too. And this match is running out of hands. What is that for a through pass? Just cutting down the defender line with one single pass. Missing the shot though, but the rebound was completely collected by the second striker. Oh man. Situation is getting troublesome here.
Interesting.
And eTigers, we are in the winners bracket semi-finale, but we need to make sure that we win one more game, because at this point the most important factor is going to make sure that we are qualifying for the grand finals at FIFAe World Cup that is happening in Riyadh.
Yes.
One victory and that is all we need, but Japan is making a little bit harder for us.
They're making our lives hard, man. I agree at this point. Danial just needs to... He needs to get back in the footing. At this point, I just feel that there's a bit of a delay in terms of switching the players as well. I think so he knows what plays he needs to make, but at the same time, again, there's two different regions. We'll have to talk about that as well. Danial playing from India and the Japanese player obviously playing from Japan. So there's going to be you could say an even server, but that still adds into a bit of a delay out here for the players. And right now, that's exactly what I believe Danial might be facing as well. But all in all, everything is exactly the same for both of the players right now. Lovely through. Marcus Thuram could not collect it. This could have been the first opener for India. Instantly after that timeout. It's going to be another opportunity pretty soon though.
Eduardo Camavinga has been a pretty as far as eTigers are concerned. But today I don't think that is going to happen. Just look at those passing lanes which are being blocked. Whatever pass he's trying to make, always someone there to intercept it. But Mo Salah just gives the ball away to Stanisic, gives the ball back. But Mo Salah just missing out on the touch. Tried it through pass, tried to run it down, and man, nothing is going in our favor again.
That's the second time that has happened right here, right now, though. A big mistake from the Japanese, though, but Lilian Thuram will be able to collect that one, no problem whatsoever. Luka not really winning out that header. Van de Ven will be winning it. Sends it all the way towards Mohamed Salah, but every single passing lane has been blocked. No one can collect the ball. It seems like whatever Danial was doing against Brunei, Darussalam, that's exactly what he's facing right now on his face from Japan.
That is so true. And
what a through.
The fortune also looks the same as well. The fourth goal had been blocked by Rodri. Oh man. Should have been an easy clearance from the centre back, but instead he gave away an unfortunate assist to the striker. Instead of an interception, he let the ball in the other striker's feet, and this is leading us to a 4-goal deficit in the first leg itself. Our entire leg still remains, but this 4-goal advantage, it is too big to climb at this point.
A bit too big. I agree. That too in the quarterfinals, or rather that too in the knockout semi-finals of the upper bracket. That's a big blunder. And again, Rodri not clearing that, instead just sets it up perfectly. Things are constantly moving out of hand right now and not starting to smooth up whatsoever. Maybe just getting that first goal right here, right now could eventually lower down the lead though. But again, the through just not going. All the passing lanes perfectly blocked. There could be one on the other side. Lovely anticipation by Danial. Brings Patrick Vieira to the perfect position to try and steal that one away, though. Up back in the centre, back to Kamavinga, over towards the left wing. Kafu marks the player perfectly. The men marking is just impeccable at this point on Japanese defense.
The switching is so phenomenal that the attackers are getting no opportunities to make a run. Gigi Buffon collects the ball, sends the ball ahead, wins the header. But again, Lilian Thuram is there for the interception again and again and again. This time, he wins the ball, gives it back to the striker who's running. Tries the chip, misses it out, but the first leg comes to an end. Japan 4, India 0.
At this point, I can't even say anything, right? Because you could clearly see the things that were happening on screen itself. The defender, yes, was there. You had one of the attackers making that run through, even in that very last second. I believe it was Kilitsoy one more time. But Danial eventually moved the defender to the other side entirely. And that gave a lot of room for the attacker to make that run through. If not for Buffon being brought forward, that would have been the 5th one, and that too in the extra time. So obviously we never wanted that to happen out here right now. 4-0. It is difficult, but I believe since it's Danial, he can actually come back.
There is always hope, especially in the second leg. And we have seen what type of performance Danial is capable to bring in the next leg. Brunei Darussalam was the perfect example of that. First match, 1-0 advantage. In the second one, we had a complete run over with 4 goals in our name.
Yes.
So something like that might happen again, but if not, we are moving to the lower seed then. And I just hope that does not happen. Although our chances of getting ahead, going ahead in the tournament are still likely. But we have to find that out if we go through the upper seed or from the lower one. Because at this point, what matters is just one more victory.
I just want to say, man, there's no one who wants to qualify from the bottom seed out here. Every single one wants to move in from the upper seed. So that's one of the big things. Again, a 4-0 scoreline in favor of Japan. Not really the best thing that we could have hoped for. I thought it's going to be a little bit more close. But that's just not really happening right here, right now. So I would say it's still pretty difficult. And we don't want to go down in the lower bracket because guess what? There's also Korea there, there's Indonesia, there's Brunei Darussalam, and Hong Kong. These are, again, 4 teams. Brunei Darussalam, yes, it was a dominating win for India, but if we face them again, then they will know what to expect from Danial. And I'm pretty sure they would prepare some kind of counter on the other side. But we'll get to know all about that in a while, though, as, again, it's Japan who's leading.
A 4-0 is a big advantage in the making. But also now, we have to make sure that we don't concede enough goals in the second half, or rather in the next game. But if we are able to defend Japan and time include 4 goals to our name, if that happens or not, a big mountain to climb for Danial. Will he be able to do it? We'll find that out right after a very short break. The second leg commences. India are looking to make a comeback in this leg, or else we have to move down to the lower bracket. A 4-goal advantage we have to overturn, and we were almost on the brink to get a perfect start. First shot taken on target, but the goalkeeper made a tremendous save. But this time, we have to stop this counter attack as well, since Japan, they already lead the scoreline 4-0.
Got to cut back. He's got to cut all the passing lanes out here, Danial. He's constantly trying to stop that from happening. And that is why it's Sofyan Amrabat eventually getting that ball. Will be stolen away on the other side. Pirlo, he's there. Not the perfect pass. Cafu will be able to steal it from the left finger. Eden Hazard not in the perfect position. Gakpo sends it back in though. Stolen away. Patrick Vieira finally doing his own job, which we were not really seeing happening out here. Cafu again steals it back. Will be brought back in. A through from mid. Doesn't matter. Kylian Mbappe is there. And what a through for Cody Gakpo. He should be able to push it in though. Gets a cut back. Even better. As Japan are absolutely dismantling the hopes of us to qualify from the upper bracket.
Oh, it is a very unfortunate conditions right in here. Another direct through pass, and the striker was just 1v1 with the goalkeeper. No chances whatsoever, and we are stunned as you are. 5-0 advantage for Japan. Just look at that pass. So perfectly drilled down, and with the goalkeeper sent outside his line, a cutback to stab the ball in the back of the net. Cody Gakpo setting his co-striker perfectly for success.
Brilliant. And you can see the disappointment on the face of Danial out here. He's got to figure out as to how he can break this kind of deadlock. It's a 5-0 advantage right now. That's even worse to try and deal with. Romario is going to be turning back in. That's a slight tackle. Sends in for a cutback though, but the defender is there. Buffon will collect the ball. Again, he's trying to reach till the goal line, but he's not able to score the goal.
Things are definitely not working in our way, because just look at that counter attack yet again. Very similar fashion, very similar lob through pass, and very similar Kylian Mbappe run. And this time another shot has been taken. Although will get blocked, but a corner will be conceded. Rodri out of anybody else in the starting 11 from Japan. A defensive midfielder making his run inside the box, taking a shot, giving Japan another opportunity to score.
The corner going to go in. Roberto Carlos sends it. No one there to collect it. Oh, that was a bit of a funny engagement out here. It's going to go for a throw in. They don't really mind it, and India is going to be happy for that. A long throw in though, cancelled eventually. So it's Pele who has the ball. He'll instantly be changing in the line of the pitch. Moves in over towards the left. Cafu is just man marking Eden Hazard. He's making sure that he does not receive the ball. We've always seen Eden Hazard being so present in the lineup. But Cafu has made sure that this man does not go forward. This is such a beautiful defense coming in from Japan.
A 5 back is so hard to break. 5-2-1-2 is what I believe Japan is running at this point. If I'm not wrong, yes, it is a 5 at the back, and 5 at the backs are so difficult to break down. So much counter-attacking potential and so less when you receive the counter. Just look at that. But this time around, Romario dribble inside the box, take a finesse, and gives India a shine, a ray of hope. First goal has been taken, 4 more to go.
That's, yes, 4 more goals in what, less than 50 minutes of the game, Spardas. That's the main key. Finally, he was able to break through with an extra dribble on the ball. Romario, he got the space, he made the shot, a tight one to make, but it definitely went in. But the big thing is, he'll not get a lot of chances like these. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be soon that we will see some changes coming in. Maybe bringing in Bebeto, so that you can take some of the shots from right outside of the box. Because he's not really getting any chances to move inside the box. His players are being man-marked properly. So it's, as you said, 5 men at the back line. And then a 5-2-1-2 with a through ball going in over towards the other part. This is right now a lovely steal coming in. It's going to be called in for a foul. So the possession will still be for the Japanese side. But I kind of want to see an early change in the attacking lineup out here right after the halftime. You would not want to wait for other players. Look at that. Hazard's stamina is almost out. So is the case with Pirlo. One last chance of attack from the Indian side, though. It's going to be sent in through, but since he held the ball for a few seconds, the whistle is going to be blown. 2 shots, both on target for both the teams. 1-1 is the scoreline for this game. And I love it. I said I wanted to see early changes. That's what we are seeing.
But that's an issue, Saishnu, here. You cannot break a 5 back with a 4-2-2. It is impossible for the 2 strikers to break down a back line of 5. The only way to beat a 5 at the back is to run a diamond formation. 2 strikers with a center attacking mid and 2 center mids running, making spaces, triangular passes all around the box. A 5 at the back is just vulnerable to one single formation, and that's a diamond. Other than that, whatever formation you bring in, a 4-4-2 flat, a 4-4-2 wide, a 4-2-2, whatever you bring in, the depth, the pitch will always be controlled by the 5 defenders at the back line.
That's what we are seeing right now. My whole point is that how do you plan on stopping those counter attacks as well, again, from the other side? Because you look at that. It's constantly those first touch counters that Japan are actually running with. Don't even care if they have players there. They're just sending it constantly for those clears. So yes, if you're running with diamond, I think so. One of the ways that it's not about stopping the ball in your defensive line. It's about scoring as many goals as the other one is doing.
That's the fun part of it. Japan does not care about possession. The only way they are scoring, and they have scored in the past, is long through walls, and our centre backs not able to control that. With those low passes, you might try to score more on your half. Just look at that. Yet again, similar result. Lob the ball away, give the possession back, because even Japan knows India is having a really hard time to break down their defensive lines. And Amrabat, with a high press line, will win the ball back, and just look at Rodri. Holds the ball, lobs it high up in the air. Trent should win it, but Amrabat is dealing a lot of pressure on his shoulder. But Pirlo, he has the ball in his feet. He's trying to find a pass back to Lautaro, but with a lack of center attacking mid, the winger was completely marked. The striker has been completely marked, and Romario has no place to go. Another chance goes begging.
It's a big one again coming in for the side of Japan out here. Not really. Oh. All right. Unfortunate stuff happening for them, but it's still absolutely fine. A 4-goal advantage, and a massive one that too. And then Cafu steals away the throw-in. Instantly sends it for the clearance. And it's as you mentioned again, you're not able to break this kind of defensive line. You've only got 4 players, 5 to 7 on the other side. Pele's got an opportunity. Maybe this one goes in. Lovely block from the defender at the very last second. Pirlo is going to send it back to Stanisic. A few boys out here in blue, but the header does not go through. And Manuel Akanji, with that clearance, they're just ruining the chances of India for winning out this one. It seems like we've got the first team that qualifies to Riyadh, my man, with just 14 minutes left into the game. It almost seems like it will be Japan to win the first one and take the business class seat in the flight.
Oh man, such deep down defensive structure from Japan, and an impossible lockdown for India to break. This is not looking good at all. Just barely 8 minutes remaining, and the hopes are completely shattered. The upper seed is definitely going out of our hands at this point, but we still do have a chance from the lower bracket. But it is Japan who are control of the game, and what a tactical outplay from the Japanese people. A 5-2-1-2 formation, complete counter-attacking football, ball lobs high up in the air. Although India will have a consolation goal in their name. 2-1 they score in the second leg. They take their advantage around, but the first leg dip was too big to be turned around.
Massive one, I'd have to say. Something that, a match that we'd really want to forget. We've had losses, right? We've also had a loss against Korea Republic, but it was close. It was 4-3. It was just a 1-goal loss. But when it comes to this first game against Japan, yeah, that's been absolutely disastrous for us. 4-0 destruction is something you'd really want to brush off.
That is so true. But at the very same thought, One leg, Japan won that. Second leg, we won it. So if not for aggregate lines, things could have been different for us. But hey, aggregate 5 for Japan, 2 for India is what we are taking with us to the lower bracket. As Japan, they make their way off to Riyadh.
Flying high is what's happening here. Absolutely beautiful performance from Japanese. You could say that yes, it was a proper counter play against what Danial was bringing. It's like it's one specific play which you know that you have to bring in 5 defensive lines so that you can stop a 4-4-2-4 or 4-2-2-2. So I like the idea of what they were trying to do. It was constant back and forth passes between a few attackers from India. Like all 3 of the front players were constantly there. Romario, Cristiano Ronaldo, Eden Hazard, Pele helping them out as well from the wing side. And again, Pirlo from the mid. He was always running it down the pitch. But it was a brilliant way to tackle that entire front line because most of it depended on Cristiano Ronaldo as the anchor in the center. You shut him down, you shut down all the other passing lanes, and Japan did it perfectly.
Well, it was definitely a crazy game from the Japanese people, and they made sure that they qualify from the upper seed. But there is still hopes for India to make it to the FIFA E World Cup, to the land stage. But we have to make sure that we win our next game. But who we will face, we have to find that out in the losers bracket as of now. The results are still pending of multiple matches. India have to face either of the 2 big nations. Maybe a rematch against Brunei could be on the way as well. But how the match will go, how the losers bracket will go in the favor of Danial or not, or we will crash out from a very, very narrow margin. So many questions, so many answers to give out, but we'll find all of them right after a very short break.
In an attempt to soar higher than ever, Danial stands at the crossroad where he needs to make the correct choice in order to move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to FIFA E-Regional Qualifiers eFootball featuring mobile. It is India taking on Indonesia in the lower bracket matchup out here right now. And Danial needs to win this one in order to book the flight ticket for Riyadh. And Shubhank, this one looks a bit more tough. Indonesians are looking like pretty solid lineup.
The arch rivals, the nemesis for the Indian roster. Whatever game we talk about, Indonesians have always given us nightmares. But today I just want to turn our fate around, the mighty squad. As things stands, we have started things off in a pretty decent manner, created some chances already, and keeping the possession a lot more of the time than usual. And now a driven pass yet again has been blocked by none other than Mr. Patrick Vieira. He has been phenomenal throughout the day.
A lot of teams have picked this player up and he has been showcasing his class, but right now it's Indonesians' time to attack. Cutback possibilities, those options are being stopped and rebound again. Lucky that this time it fell into the hands of defender. Otherwise Danial might have lost this one. It's going to be changing in the pitch entirely. Stanisic will control it, but you can clearly see the high press coming in from the Indonesian side, right? They're not giving a lot of room on their own defense. And secondly, whenever the ball is on our side, yes, they are constantly pressing on the back of it right now. They've got that ball back again. Kante is going to be sending it over towards that left wing. Doesn't matter. Stolen away. Now Ronaldo is going to make that run. The pass will be blocked in. Araujo on the other side. That one defender has always been super annoying for everyone. And Eden Hazard on the other side is going to run and fall in, will be the one to collect the ball.
The wing is completely wide open, but the press is still going on from both the sides. It is a pretty much back and forth game. But now N'Golo Kante, his introduction has been made to the pitch against India. But now Eden Hazard trying to get a 1-2 pass from Ronaldinho, but not so soon. Stanisic standing in his way, and now a counter attack, a possibility on the way. A perfect through pass to Romario. He's running down the wing, a cutback inside, but Cannavaro, he has a perfect interception, wins the ball back, gives it away to Ronaldinho. And Indonesians, they have the possession.
Oh, this one looks so very tough out here for Danial. It's a back and forth right now, but you can clearly see the pressure is still there. There's a big difference in terms of where the defense line is playing, and it's playing right at the half line. It's going to be a nice play over towards the wing back. Ronaldo, he's got the ball, he's got to pass it through. Hazard almost stealing this one away though, but the ball doesn't really go that far. Still back in the hands of Amrabat. It's going to be sent back in, fall in, passes it. Hazard is another chance with the header, but guess what? It's not just our Ronaldo that hits the post, it's also the other Ronaldo.
Or whatever the case is happening with CR7, well, it is pretty indeed frustrating for both the teams. But the first half comes to a close. A 0-0 scoreline. Possession pretty much similar. 52-48. Shots, yes, Indonesians have 2 shots. One on target, one off the crossbar. But the scoreline is still very much level. As per the formations, it is pretty much similar from both the teams. It is a 4-4-2 flat, either a 4-2-2-2. But yeah. The wing play is what they are looking for, and a 4 at the back is what matters the most. Since 5 at the back was pretty annoying when we faced it last time, but this time it looks like a fair and even competition.
Looks like picture perfect out here, as you rightly mentioned. We'll have to wait and see as to what's going to be the result in the second half right now. Few changes happening in. Indonesians are going to change some things up. And guess what? What are the chances that they, in between the game, decide to change their entire formation and put towards the 5 backline? Right now they're running a 4-4-2, just like Danial. So that's why it's constantly going back and forth.
Not gonna happen. Majority of the teams who know they have control over the game, who have a certain play style, they will never switch for a 5 back until they are trying to kill the game. And this time, it looks like the 4-4-2 is definitely working out, since Gaucho was almost on the wing play. And Ronaldinho, we all know how crazy of a skiller that guy can be. Pair that him with CR7, and the clinical finisher is on its way. And right now, CR7, he's just dribbling outside the box. Van de Ven marking all the passing lanes, and he will win the ball back. And Eden Hazard, he has a chance to unleash a counter, finds Pele, finds Andrea Pirlo, and Romario is down the wing, making some space for the wingers to get inside the box. And Andrea Pirlo taking his sweet time, finds CR7, goes back to Romario. Eden Hazard inside the box, dribbling inside, but get through a perfect defensive commitment from his side.
Fantastic defense coming in right now. The header is also being won by Indonesians, though. Lovely tackle by Onana. Will be able to stop that threat from developing. Hazard wants to send it all the way back in center, though, but Araujo is constantly man-marking Cristiano Ronaldo. That's again that one big strategy which we know. It shuts down all the chances of attack. This is not going to be a foul. Was first touch on the ball, though, and again it did not really go through in the back of the net. Wasn't really the best of the best pass in that high press situation. But still, nonetheless, an opportunity. It was the defender to eventually stop that one away. Oh, that could have been actually a pretty good chance.
It was an on-target shot, but Amrabat just standing in front of the face of CR7. A low block shot, completely blocked out. But the best part is how Pele made that run, despite the fact he was fouled. He was down to the ground and almost making sure that Pele does not get up. But good work from his side, good commitment shown by Pele. Wins India a corner, and we have been pretty good with that till now. But let's see, how will we take this?
Right, there we go. Perfect changes coming in. Indonesians are running that default. If I'm not wrong, it's a 4-2-4 formation that Indonesians are actually running with the midfielders being spread out wide towards the left mid and the right mid being a bit more attack-centric, just to give them some more options to work around with. While again, the main two central mid players, they're a bit far back in order to help out in that defense. Does leave the gap open out here in mid, but let's see if Danial will be able to utilize that for his own favor.
Yeah, man, right now it is a pretty even game. And the way things are working, we have to make sure that it remains in our favor. We have been pretty much dominant on the attacking side, and we have built a lot more chances. We have been on goal. Whereas Indians, they have been pretty flawless in defender side as well. Good blocks, good chances have been created as well. But no, in a double-legged game, you have to make sure that the score are level terms. And with this corner, India definitely wants to turn things around.
It's for the header. Bebeto sends it in, though it's going to be cleared on the other side. Martinez is going to pass it back in, doesn't matter. Still been collected and cleared away. All the players are now going to go back. So it's the exact same strategic changes that we normally see from Danial. There's nothing hot shot out of here. Every single thing is going to remain the same. But it's again, look at how quickly the entire line of Indonesia is running all the way far back now. So you need your defensive lineup to move up front so that you can create some more spaces, though. This was supposed to be a through. Collected by Kante, back for Mohamed Salah. A through ball. Martinez controls it, but lovely defense from Cannavaro. Indonesians are not making those mistakes up in the defense that we normally see from all the other teams, and that's why the scoreline is still 0-0. And this is going to be the through. Openda over towards the left side. Cut back opportunities out in mid, though. First one goes through. The rebound. Back to Bebeto as it will be cleared away. Danial. Some risky opportunities being flown in. Back and forth pass, but another tackle comes into the play. Alvarez now running in from the Indonesian side.
Just running down the wing. Has a lot more space inside the box. He's trying to find a cutback. Our defender is just falling left and right. Good dribbling around the area. And N'Golo Kante finds Rafael Leao. Back to Stanisic with the interception. Patrick Vieira needs to clear off the ball, and he will slowly extend. But a mistime pass there, Stanisic. You cannot make those mistakes, Daniel. You have to keep that composure at the back line, and yet again, 2 times in a row. But fortunately, we win the ball back. And now Marcus Thuram has to find a pass to Bebeto, but a driven pass was never the solution. But Onana gets the ball, and this time around the score are on level terms. 90 minutes into the game. Total of 4 shots taken combined from both the teams. That's how a defensive masterclass has been shown by both the Indonesians and the Indians.
It just comes down to the same thing, right? Both these players are running with the exact same kind of formation with just slight bit of changes in terms of the instructions, right? So it's almost the same problems that they're both facing, not really getting that opportunity to land that last pass. But I'd have to say, if I were to give in, I would say a leeway, I'd give it to the Indonesians. They have had more shots on target, and at the same time constant pressure coming in because they were playing inside our half for most of the time. Yes, you could say that there was a possession almost equally divided, but still Indonesians are kind of leaning or running a little bit ahead. It is difficult for Danial, but I'm pretty sure he should be able to pull himself back in the second game.
Well, it very much likely can be the case as well, since we have created some very good amount of chances, but the last line of defense was able to block it down. And on the counter, we could have been through twice, but Marcus Thuram, man, not the guy. Maybe for that through pass, could have been somebody else, and we would receive the ball in the feet of Bebeto.
I
But
agree.
was just not the case. A lots of ifs and buts just going on in and around the match.
Big question marks happening in for both of these ones, right? And I think so now it's going to be Indonesia to probably try and switch things up a little bit more. Yes, I know that Danial has been the man who controls the game most of the time, but it's again Cristiano Ronaldo being man marked throughout the game has been a big problem because, as I said, he was normally the pivot for those constant back and forth passes, the one-to-one passes which you normally talk about. It started with Cristiano Ronaldo, the midfielders lofting the ball in for him as he wins the header and then sends it to either Pele on the right or maybe Eden Hazard on the left. Maybe sometimes it's Pirlo who's making a run for the through ball. Right, so that's not really happening in these games, as Cristiano is not really receiving the ball at all. And then you're not allowed to make those runs from the wing as well, where we've constantly seen him make the run through wing and then loft the ball in for a header for a score. That hasn't happened as well because he's just not able to make those plays at this point. He's constantly being stopped on that defensive line.
No, this is I'm not sure a game where how do you find a deadlock? Because the thing is, there are certain games where you can see some loopholes on the defending side. You can see a left back is somewhere pushing a lot more up on the pitch. Nothing has been the case from both the teams.
I agree.
A perfect defensive shape. You get inside the box and the defenders are not even committing a tackle. They are marking the dribbling there. In that scenario, it gets really, really difficult for any attacker to make some space. But hey, the second match will be a very crucial one because this time around, Indonesians, they might try something different. And we all know that Indonesian is a very, very deadly squad. The team that they faced in the upper seed, I think that was Malaysia. And then they lost on a tiebreaker. So that is something we have to keep in mind, that the score was on level terms with the Malaysian team. Although we were better than Malaysia when it comes to group stages. But overall, a golden goal was the difference maker there.
That's one of the big things which you mentioned out here, that golden goal being the key difference maker. And again, the game against Korea Republic, it was pretty dominating for the side of Indonesia. Though yes, I agree, Malaysia, Indonesia, that went pretty neck to neck, very close, tiebreaker for Malaysia to help them out in the win. But I still feel overall, if you think about it, Mbappe, in terms of the knockout stage games, he has been absolutely insane. And he has had the chance of lifting that trophy as well. So it's like the knockout form of Mbappe is entirely different right now. And Daniel, it seems like there's a bit of a pressure out here. Will he be relieved of that pressure, ladies and gentlemen? Will it be India to fly off towards Riyadh, or will it be Indonesia to ruin our dreams? We'll find that out after this short break. One more game, one more chance, one more opportunities. Just the last 90 minutes to see who will fly down towards Riyadh, ladies and gentlemen, as we move back in for the FIFA e-regional qualifiers, eFootball featuring mobile out here. What a chance being created, and a lovely hold down coming in. Danial kicks things off in the brightest fashion out here, and guess who to score the first one? An absolute Brazilian legend, Pele.
A legend of the game, scoring for the legend in the making. What a strike, what a composure from Danial. Just taking the defender and then baiting the first shot. It looked like it will be a pass to Romario. And everyone thought, yeah, the passing lane is wide open, must be a cutback. And that's how he has been scoring a lot of his games. But no, everyone was just shocked by the finesse he attempted from the post. Good strike, 5 minutes into the first half, 5 minutes into the second leg. And we have already opened the scoring, and now we just have to keep the scoreline on same level. Don't give away cheap possession is what we are looking out for. And if the scoreline remains the same, we are going to Riyadh.
Full power driven pass out there, but Cristiano Ronaldo could not keep this one up right now as Romario wanted to make the run. Still, it's going to be with that right back. Send back forward. 1v1 out here. Gacho wanted to send it. Van de Ven, perfect tackle. You mentioned about the defense that needed to be proper. It is absolutely perfect right now. Romario yet again back to Cristiano Ronaldo. The same 1-2 passes which we've been talking about, but no support whatsoever. 7 people in towards that back line. Make it 8 right now, considering how many are playing. But still, a chance, an opportunity. Ronaldo turns it towards the right though, but the near post did not really go through. Buffon was able to save this one. But I'm loving the idea of what Danial is doing. This has been constantly different from what he has been doing till now.
Oh man, this is definitely a nerve-wracking match. And now India with a different type of corner. The ball has been misplaced, and this is what I was talking about. No unfortunate passes should be given away, and we have just given away on a counter. And this time Eden Hazard
lovely.
just loses his composure. Both the players, be it us or our arch rivals in the red, both the teams have been making some silly mistakes. This could have been their chance, and on the first note, this chance should have never occurred for Diego. But
Yes.
now, with the ball in our favor, we just need to keep the things slow and steadily, because we know now Indonesians can feel the pressure. We have seen them rushing down the play, and with that, we know the back line will open up slowly and steadily.
Now he's been passing the ball around in the defense. Again, it's just one correct judgment away from being equalized. And guess what? That's exactly what's happened. Fallen able to steal this one. Stanisic, no power in that shot. Right now being passed back into the center. Cristiano Ronaldo turns around. A lovely anticipation by Danial. He knew it could have been a short fake into a turn, and then being scored on the other side as Eden Hazard right now makes the run. Lovely pass. Pele controls it. It's a foul right outside the box.
Could be a
It's
yellow
not
as
going
well.
to be a card, or is it going to be a card? That's the question, is it?
It should be given one. That's a very open chance. Should be
Oh,
at least a card, and now
Ronaldo.
CR7. And the thing is, we have not seen a direct free kick till now. Or have we seen even a closer free kick till now? A first shot, no one knows how he takes it, and CR7 on the edge of the box hits the wall.
Ah. Either it needed to go a little bit too wide or needed a little amount of height and power into that. That is absolutely fine. Still an opportunity, another one, ball going through. Buffon couldn't really connect it, but the header is going to be won out by the defender. A lovely second press coming in. Hazard steals this one away. Pele's got the chance right now. Turns around over towards the left side. Still keeps the ball. Passing lanes blocked. Doesn't matter. Still finds one. Hazard wanted to take the shot, though blocked in by the defender. And there's still Indonesia, who've got a chance. Wanted to go for a through, but a lovely way to stop all the passing lines.
Oh, we are scuffing our chances. 2 goals were so wide open, but Danial could not see the pass on the center of the pitch. Oh man, but this time Romario inside the box has been the ball. A very dangerous tackle from the Indonesians. Could have been given a pen if it was mistimed. But they are not making those mistakes. And now Perlo finds CR7, but Araujo just standing right in front of his face blocks the passing run. And now Eden Hazard, he has to fulfill his defensive duties.
Yes. That's a big one. Right now. It's going to be Onana. Passing it all the way back though in the center. Pele, he's got a chance. Romario cooking up something else though from the left wing. Hazard back to Romario inside the penalty box. Wanted to go for the shot, but again Cannavaro with that press was able to stop any possible things from blowing up right now. 4 shots for India. Indonesians have not had even a single one. And this is the big reason. There's a massive change in the formation. Talk about it.
Oh, I think we should rather hide this away at this point, because this is something
so.
you don't want to give that away, man. Like, we know how things are in this game. The tactical advantage is what needs to be the first advantage that you have. So that should, I think there should be a feature like the moment you press the pause button, your screen gets dark. Easy. So I just want that in the custom lobby, that something like that should happen. But moving back to the game, we had 3 clear-cut chances, and if a cutback was seen by Danial, we could have at least scored 2 of them. Pele was finding CR7 instead of Romario. If he just get the diagonal pass inside, could have been a perfect chance. But man, so many could haves and should haves where we must have taken at least 3 goal advantage till now.
Have to see now. Again, there's a lot of chances to try and make some of that thing happen as well, right? Because throughout the game, we've seen Danial playing in with the 4-2-4 or 4-2-2-2 entire formation, right? So we've seen that one specific kind of play style that he's been using till now. But this is one of the first few times when we are seeing some of those changes. I like to see how he'd be able to quickly adapt to that, because let's be brutally honest, this is the start of the main competition. Till now, those were easy steps. Those were baby steps.
Yes.
It was rinse and repeat. Now, you're going to have to adjust and adapt in every single half of the game. It's not even a full game right now. Every single half. And that is what we are seeing right now.
But the thing is, we have already played 3 halves. It has already been there, like almost there. Just one entirety of the half that remains in the second leg. First leg was a complete goalless draw with so many of the possession being on either side, just switching left and right. But now, with India already taking the opening in the first 5 minutes, the pressure is on the shoulder of Indonesians. We just need to hold the ball the longest possible. Also keeping in mind, holding the ball does not mean keeping it in the back line. The more you keep the ball between your centre backs and left backs, you will lose out the possession, since they don't have those passing styles. They can't pass the ball straight for more than thrice. You have to keep that in mind, because when the pressure surmounts, all these tactical changes try to just shove off your brain.
One of the big things which you've rightly mentioned, that you can't really keep on passing in your centre back. So that's going to be something to be kept in mind out here right now by Danial. Stanisic changes the entire flow of the field. Moves it over towards the left. Rodri back towards the centre, and that's where Onana is. Very centralized play coming in from the side of the Indian boy out here. And Danial is constantly creating those chances. The triangular formation in mid. It should be a lofted pass. Romario will not be able to win it. The defense line is a little bit too strong out here. Some changes coming in from the side of the Indonesian. You can see now he's also changed some of his formation, probably. Now pretty heavy out here in mid. It's a 4-4-2 to be worked with. But everyone's been falling back way too quickly as you compare it from the previous time.
I think he has gone with at least 2 CDMs and maybe someone tracking back as well from the tracking half. No, he's just playing with 2 CDMs at this point. They are tracking back a lot more now, and Eden Hazard is running down the wing. Our center line is completely wide open, and Patrick Vieira, he has to play the last player, and he will play it so smart that the passing lane was blocked. And now Andre Pirlo, he has a chance for a perfect counter-attacking run. Eden Hazard trying to just run from center of the pitch, keeping the ball. Romario is through on goal, but Patrick Vieira blocking those lanes and the missed time pass. But the steal and the pressure is just perfect from Danial. Romario keeping the possession for the longest time possible, and Amrabat just tackles him there. And this time, I just want to see something different. An angle where you can actually make CR7 and Patrick Vieira work around your box.
That's probably what he's going to be focusing on right now, as
Yes.
we're going to see some tactical changes coming in from the Indonesian side too. You need to put that ball in the back of the net right now. This is the chance. You win this one cross. You put this one in the goal, and the flight path is clear for Riyadh. if
Well,
that's not going to be the case, the Indonesians will make a bounce back.
the keyword being if. That
If.
word is so detrimental at this point, because one chance is all India needs at this point. We score one more goal, a 2-0 advantage, and the game will in completely our control. But at this point,
True.
just one goal advantage is definitely not enough. Because knowing Indonesians, they have a crazy history of making comebacks. The last game they played, they tied up against Malaysian squad and they won on the golden goal. So the thing is, it is a very difficult scenario out there between both the teams. Tactical advantages are going in,
Yeah.
and Indonesians do have a coach as well. So we both know that having someone monitor your game and giving you inputs right on the fly, how advantageous that can be.
That is exactly what's been constantly happening out here right now. This is one of the biggest things that we've been, not really mentioning a lot. But now that you've got that extra bit of support from a coach who's watching the game in
Yes.
the bird's eye view, just like how we are right now, that extra input is something that's been helping Indonesia survive, even right now in this lower bracket specifically. Even in the game against Malaysia, if I'm not wrong, the first one, I believe, was won by Malaysia. And it was in the second game that Indonesians were actually able to bounce back.
Yeah.
And that too, scoring 3 goals to 2. That too, when in the first one, they only scored 1. Now, that clearly shows you how the coach is helping the boy quickly develop that counter and instantly find that success. And that is exactly what's happening right now too. Daniel will need to learn it on the fly as to what's happening on the other side, because it's not a lot of goals that he's leading with. It's only 1.
That is so true. And the thing is, when you just have one goal buffer, the pressure surmounts, even on yourself. You
Yes.
are in the driving seat. Yes, you have all the positives of the game that is required. Yes, but at the same time, the thought of not giving that one goal opportunity away is what
Yes.
you have to keep in mind. That pressure is on yourself as well to keep the lead. You are the person who is in control of the match, and you have to keep that control for at least 30 more minutes.
True.
All that things going in Daniel's mind, and definitely this will be a game that is worth remembering. And best part about it, that the winner goes to Riyadh and the loser goes home. So there is no second chance after this.
And one of the big things that's been happening out here, right? We've been talking about going to Riyadh, which you rightly mentioned. And guess what? Right now, it is going to be Malaysia who will move to Riyadh down against Brunei, Darussalam. I just saw the scoreline. It was 3-2 in the first one. It ended 2-2 in the second one. So it's just one goal that was differential between Malaysia and Brunei Darussalam as well. So congratulations for a team from Group B. At least we'll be moving all the way up right now, as we're still focusing if we will have the second one going in, or will Group A fly 3 of their teams over towards Riyadh right now. Yes, so it's only this one game that now remains. It's going to be India and Indonesia trying to fight it off. But at least we now know that once we win, we're going to be facing Malaysia back again in that lower bracket.
Well, we'll love to see that rematch happen, if you know what I mean, because that rematch will be a crazy one. Upper C
Yeah.
teams again going for the top 3 for the grand finals and the region matches. But for that, we have to defeat Indonesians, and we are definitely very close to that. And if you are just wondering that why we are not on the game screen, because the tactical changes and stuff, that should be hidden. This match is a really
Yes.
crucial one. I really don't want tactics to be all around the place at this arena, since we can't see Indonesians what they are doing, so why give away ours? So yeah.
I mean, that's exactly fair, right? We're not supposed to give away all the tactical changes out that we've been doing as well. So it's absolutely fine, absolutely fair. I can clearly see, though, the Indonesian and his coach, they're both sitting there fully focused into the game. And I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
they've kind of developed something out here in the middle of the entire changes that we've been seeing. So we'll have to wait and see how the next 25 minutes of the game are going to look like. I know it's going to be difficult for Daniel, but I really hope that he's able to bring in some new thing forward as well. And it's not just being revolving around the exact same thing that we've been constantly seeing. So it's going to be super fun to see.
That is
Right
so
now-
true. And yeah, even if you look at the international feed from the Indonesian side, you can see how tensed, I would say, the man looks. I
It does.
find, because the pressure is definitely visible on his face too. So, because by all perspective, the thing is that you have made so far into the tournament. You were
Yes.
in the top 4 of your group, and then you played Malaysian team, and then you get to a golden goal, and so many things going on. But then again, you have to face the worst result out possible, because being in the lower bracket, despite the fact that you are the mighty Indonesians, it still hurts. So that is something which is kind of considering for them as well. But now, this matchup, man, this is definitely getting a lot intense than I expected.
Absolutely. It's been way too close out here, man. And I'd have to say this. At this point, the Indonesian coach is actually, you know what? I know you're not big fan of the animes and all of that, but he actually looks like Kenjiro Suda, Tatsu, rather.
Man,
That
you
is
have
the
to
name of
break
the
that
character.
down for
Yeah,
everybody
so
else. Including
that's what
you.
I'm telling you. You know, it's one of those animes in which an assassin takes care of the household and eventually sits back, but he's always got that aura, right? He goes out and when he's going out to ask for you could say a few items, he's just really talking about all of those assassinations. That's exactly what that coach is looking like. He's looking like an assassin right now, and the longer he gets to talk to his man, the more dangerous and more deadly the Indonesian will become, because they will develop something out of the ordinary right now. As we jump back into the game, few substitutions happening. Kaka has been brought in on the other side, Openda as well instead of Cristiano Ronaldo. So we are seeing some crucial changes as Rafael Leao as well sits on the outside.
Man, I just want to look at the clock right now. Yeah, 73 minutes. 15 more minutes plus stoppage time is what remains. And Bebeto, he's fighting for his life to win the ball back. But Kaka, he is so strong. And now a wing pass has been placed to Luis Openda. Turning, twisting, finding the passing lane. But he has to win the ball back. And Openda, he's not giving the pass away. He has been so strong. And now Curtis Jones finds the pass. Eden Hazard takes a shot. And the Indonesian strikes. Eden Hazard to get the score on level terms.
The break helped. The adaptations came through. Just a bit of a gap out there in mid. You could clearly see. Yes, Openda was not giving away the ball, but this was the gap I was talking about. And it cleared up the space so very well for the Indonesian to score. That was an absolute unfortunate play from Danial, but just so delightful from the Indonesian. Now he's going to focus down a little bit more out here. It's Ria that we are talking about. Few changes that are going to happen one more time out there from the man. I know, Spar, that's what you were looking at. And I think so, yes, it's about time to switch back towards the offensive rather than being defensive.
And this is so unfortunate there. Like Luis Openda, he took at least like 5 minutes twisting and turning, and we lost our composure. We went to press Luis Openda rather than cutting the passing lanes to the center striker. That one piece of defensive error cost us that goal. Other than that, it was just perfect. And Indonesians, they know what we were doing. They had a good start to that area, just making sure that they are twisting and turning, dragging the players out of position, and that was their intent. And they did it successfully well. And this is why a coach helps you a lot in all these scenarios.
Again, a gap, or rather a break coming in. So it's going to be the time when the Indonesian still goes for certain changes. I have no clue, will they still play a little bit more offensive out here with the way how they played? Or will we finally see some things being brought back to normal? But yeah, you could clearly see what the Indonesian lineup is looking like. It's almost the same as ours, man. There's not a big difference out here.
Yeah, but I think I'm still think that is a big difference, like the amount of hours you play and stuff. So overall, there's some differentiating factors between both the regions, especially the way this game has been played with us and the way Indonesians have played. Like if you look at them, they have a big crew supporting the individual there, and as you said, that coach input is still there. And by looking at the player, the amount of analysis going on right now, it is humongous.
That's true. They're constantly having that word with each other, because now it's going to be brought back into this game. This is going to be super important for them as well. It's the lower bracket. I mean, think of it. It's the ticket to the global stage. It's your chance to finally face the teams from different regions. It's not just what's going to happen out here right now, but it's actually what's going to happen out there in the global world as well, on the global stage. You're facing the teams of the American region, the European region. It's only the Asia and Oceania here. And that is one of the big reasons why this game becomes even more important rather than the last 10 minutes. It's probably going to be one extra attack for each side right now. Danial Had a chance to move up forward though, but he moved the back in and that closed that one small window. And now it's a chance for the Indonesian. And I can clearly see him trying to go and slow down the pace of the game right now. He wants to make sure that the last attack is going to be his, but a lovely through ball right now. Marcus Thuram, it's going to go out now. Held down for a second. Mohamed Salah at the edge of the box, and he scores in from the perfect chance, from the perfect line, as India leads the game 2-1 with 2 minutes remaining on clock.
Mo Salah might not have the most games in the entire tournament, but the Egyptian king, he strikes at the very fine moment. When you need a king, he is always there to deliver. Mo Salah, he is there to be the nightmare of the Indonesians. 2 minutes plus stoppage time is what remains. We just need to hold down the kickoff. But Saishnu, just look at the beauty of the goal. Touchback, cutting inside, a cricketer to a finesse. Without that cricketer, the shot was completely blocked. The centre back was there between the lines. But that one cricketer shot turned the course of action. Man, the attitude right now that Danial is carrying, the mentality this guy is carrying. And you knowing me, the tactical admirer I am of the game, this is so brilliant to watch.
You know what? I'm just gonna say, Mohamed Salah is the pharaoh that breaks the curse. That could have been such a wild delivery, but I had to fumble this one up. I really hope Daniel doesn't fumble the game right now. Unlike
Let's have a go again, maybe.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna repeat that. You know what, Shubhank? Mohamed Salah is the pharaoh that will now break the curse. And Daniel has got the chance to fly towards Riyadh with this 1-goal lead. So we'll have to see if that can be kept not even for an entire 10 minutes, man. It's literally going to be 5 minutes, max to max.
I'm just hoping that it is down to 3 minutes. Like 1 minute of stoppage time works out for us at this one. Just plus one for the bare minimum.
I'm fine with not giving it.
We are okay with that as well, since we have still like 90 seconds and then the stoppage time is what remains. Basically, you win the kickoff, you win the game. When the kickoff is in possession, all you need to do is just mark the passing lanes.
Yes.
The compactness of the backline is what is important. And knowing Indonesians, what I am guessing, they are going for a 4-4 or maybe a 3-5 formation where you have double strikers, a cam, and then 2 wingers. I have done that myself in the past to turn the course of games in the last 5 minutes. It is a very deadly thing. And the only risk it has, the moment you lose the ball, you are going to concede.
Yeah.
Because everybody is just flying forward like birds. So we might be able to take advantage of that too.
High risk, high reward kind of position out here. So it could really be a 2-1. It could also end up being a 2-2, or it might turn around and be a 3-1 entirely. And it totally depends. You know, at this point, I just really want Daniel to pull back every single player back into his own goal post. Just don't let them score. I do not mind if all 11 players are standing in the goal post itself. I know that's not allowed, but just cooking up.
I'm fine with people hanging on the crossbar to block the shot. I'm okay with that at this point.
Couple of people are lying down just to make sure they're covering a lot of space.
Make a human wall at the back line. At this point, just stop the ball is what we want. +3 is the time, so we were somewhere down correct. A last chance attack, a clearance is what is needed, and we have done it. It is just there. A clearance made. India 2, Indonesia 1. Daniel had made sure that Indonesians will not stand a chance. Mo Salah fought that breakthrough goal. The scores were level tied, but Mo Salah with that finesse strike made sure that we go ahead in the tie-up. And the lower bracket win will enable us to move to Riyadh for the FIFA E World Cup.
We've got all 4 teams right now that have qualified for the FIFA E World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, out here. Thailand and Japan from the upper bracket. India and Malaysia from the lower bracket. So both those groups sharing 2 teams each for the flight, and I absolutely love it. Every single play was an absolute beauty from this man, specifically, which you rightly mentioned, that one last strike of Mohamed Salah and a cricketer into that finesse over towards the left side. Otherwise, it was blocked 100%. But I also want to establish some extra attention towards the fact how Thuram reached towards that ball and then set it up for Mohamed Salah. Him reaching was the main part, right? Because that you could say lofted through was picture perfect. The power on that through was picture perfect because it did not bounce off outside out of bounds, right? So he was able to send it back, and then Salah was ready to set things up for him. And I clearly saw that there's a lot of open space. This should be a finish over towards the left front. Croqueta on top of that. That was the cherry which we all needed. But Danial, my man, for a second, my heart was here.
Yeah, man. It was like I can still feel my heart just pumping out a lot. Like it was so intense at this point, especially when Indonesians recovered the ball and after that very long tactical change, they made a very crazy pass from Luis Openda straight to the striker, and it looked like we have a lack of concentration. We were not able to hold the pass. Whatever the case was, they got the ball, they scored. But after that, showing resilience to make a comeback into the game is what our champions made up of, and Danial has showcased that power, keeping that mental high up despite knowing that long pauses, long tactical changes in certain scenarios causes momentum breakdowns. But Danial was unaffected with it, keeping his head up, keeping his mental state in line, and even when he is just diving goal, not taking the first time shot, taking a skill move to a shot is what makes a difference of a player.
True. And that's, again, him keeping himself calm under the pressure, right? Because this is not the most pressurizing situation he's ever been at. He was Riyadh last year as well. He faced the exact same problems. He was down a goal. That was against Malaysia to eventually stop his run in that. And Malaysia ended up winning the entire championship. So he knows what it feels like to be in that situation. Even right now, the man is in the lower bracket. So it's like a do or die situation for you in every single game that you're facing. So yes, as long as there is the pressure, I think so Danial will be able to refine him more and more in these circumstances. And yes, he's having close games, absolutely fine. But as long as he's able to keep that composure in for those last few minute shots, that's going to help him out a lot in the longer run, because you're not going to have easy games from this point onwards. I already told you about that. The semi-finals in the upper bracket was the start where you knew things are now not going to be the same way as they were in the group stages.
That is so true. But now, the best part about all this is, like, and also, I would say, note something that you mentioned in the breaks, Saishnu. Both the Group A teams have qualified from the upper bracket, and both the Group B teams have gone from the lower bracket. So something that you mentioned has been a pretty spot on, I would say, a difference that you noticed.
Thanks, man. I have to say, it's not even like a proper kind of domination or anything, right? Both of the matches of Group B with the Group A teams, they were so close. Brunei, Darussalam and Malaysia, guess what? Their scoreline was a 5-4. Literally just one goal apart, and that too in the first leg. That was the difference. In the second one was a 2-2. Indonesia, India, 2-1 aggregate. First one was absolutely 0-0. So again, that clearly shows you the amount of competition that there is. But I still feel that, those two upper bracket teams, Thailand and Japan, these two teams are the ones who you really need to take down, because they're looking in a hot shot form for the internationals.
Oh, that is, something we need to figure out. But the best part about this, now we will have some time to know about things. Yeah, in region qualifiers, we still have the upper bracket matches and the semi-finals and the grand finals to go from here on. 3 matches more to play to find the champion of the continent. But also, now those matches will be kind of less in pressure. Like, you can play more of your football since you are going to Riyadh, you are going to the FIFA Eve World Cup at the international stage. So that is something that can give you a sign of relief, and then maybe open to more experiments into the game as well.
Hopefully. I'm looking forward to that as well right now. As in, try a few things off, look for what was the big reason why you could not win the game against Japan, and you could say try and develop some counter strategies for that, because
maybe
I'm pretty sure that is not really the only game in which you will face that formation or that kind of play, right? There will be other games. So you will have to be ready, and you'll have to just look at the entire game in a few seconds and realize what is about to happen. So that's how quick the thinking needs to work. And I'm pretty sure with the way how Danial has been playing, and how now finally we are seeing those few, you could say, formational changes from him, he will be able to quickly catch on to that, and we'll probably see a lot more of him in the next few stages as well. But yes, this one game was absolutely nerve-breaking, man. Everyone was sweating out here. I was sweating as well, and I'm pretty sure you were sweating too. Can't really see it on your face, so I have no clue from where. But this was an absolute dramatic scenario. You could say it was that absolute cinema moment right now. And let's see, if possible, I hope that we can talk to Danial as well on that interview. If not, then that's going to be it. We'll get that confirmation sooner rather than later. But these are, as well as I've been saying constantly, not the only strongest team. Thailand is literally the strongest, and then I feel I'm going to give the leeway to Japan. Then comes India, and then I feel Malaysia, just because we've won against them already in the group stages.
That is so true. Like Malaysia, they are the defending world champions, but at the same time, we are better than them, and we have shown them twice in the group stages. This is something you need to keep in mind. But on the other side, Thailand, we have not faced them even once. And when we faced Japan, the tactical outplays were kind of too much for us to deal with. The five at the back was too much, I would say, narrow from our attacking perspective to break it down. And maybe whatever Danial was trying, he was not able to get past the three centre backs. So this is something which, as you rightly mentioned, need to figure out in the near future, because there will be teams that will run five at the back, but at the same time you have to have a game plan immediately into the match, because you can't take so much time off just figuring out what to do against a five at the back.
It's just like you have to see the formation, you've got to figure out, okay, that's something that's happening, and I have to deal with it in this manner. That's how, as I said, that's how fast it needs to be. And I'm pretty sure now Daniel will eventually look into it as well, because I told you before, one loss, absolutely fine. You kind of need to register it to work on your weak link plays, and then, you know, fix your weaknesses so that you become even stronger in those playoffs. Now, if you've already lost one game in the playoffs, you're down in the knockout stages, absolutely fine. You can see, recheck what you've learned in that previous game, and then move through that lower bracket to carry forward your run and surprise every single one of the person on the other side. But I just have to wait and see how everything's going to pan out, ladies and gentlemen. But overall, on the other end of the spectrum, Spartus, yes, you've been mentioning about how to counter that five defensive lineup, right? Could you talk me through it a little bit more? Because I'm pretty sure you mentioned something about the diamond formation.
So the thing with the five at the back is the three centre backs are completely in straight line, and the middle of the pitch is completely unmarked. There are two centre mids. If they are playing as DMs, then there is no attacking threat. But if they are playing as CMs with even one DM, you have a lot more chances if you have a double striker and a cam running down in the middle. Since all those three centre backs, they cannot mark the tiki-taka style of passing. The width of the play will always be marked, but then when the widths are marked, you have to go from center of the pitch, and being centralized is what you need to deliver, I would say. And we have seen that in the last match, the double striker formation that we were running, but we went more direct and central. The more direct and central you are, the more opportunities you will have against such formations.
I mean, I kind of like that now, since you're breaking it down all the other side, right? Because the most of the changes that we were seeing from Danial were obviously the ones where we were going straight. But guess what? The man, the myth, the legend is already out here on our screens. We're going to be bringing him back in for the interview. Hello, Danial, my man. How are you doing? And I really hope you can hear me.
I don't think he can.
We can't hear.
And
we can't hear.
I can't hear.
We can't.
I can't hear him either.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fixed in very quickly.
One of those
Pretty
days
sure,
where a lot of tech issues and stuff. Yeah.
It's fine. It's already a very pressurizing
One of those
day
days.
either way. So,
Yeah.
you know what? Spoiler.
Everybody is standing at the back.
Who've joined us just now. Yeah.
It has been a nerve-wracking day. Like, supposed to getting a grand finale ticket, fly off to a different continent, play the World Cup, and then Indonesians take a big break, and things happen. But I guess things have been fixed. And can you hear me now?
Hopefully.
Yeah, I can hear you guys now. Yeah.
Yes, Daniel. Congratulations, man. Oh, what a freaking game. Just can you
Thank
break
you
me
so
down
much.
how that Mo Salah goal happened? Because that croqueta into that finesse. What was going on in your mind?
Yeah, actually, when the ball was on the top and it was in the feet of Thuram, I was just waiting for someone to make the run outside the box, and it was Salah right there at the right place, right time. So I just passed to him and did the skill and just took a shot, and the rest is just history. I can say.
Oh man, I love the fact how you said rest is history right now. Because
Yeah.
I want to dwell onto the past a little bit. What happened in that upper bracket game against Japan, specifically the first one? Was that a hard counter against you, or what was that? Talk me through it.
Yeah, actually, the through ball just were going on and on. I couldn't stop it. Yeah, and it was just an awful performance. I won't say anything. It was my mistake. And second game, I did cope a bit, but it was too late, unfortunately, because he had already scored 4 goals and had to score 5 to go through. But yeah, that has happened, and yeah, we go to the lower bracket, and now we have won against Indonesia. So happy with that.
But yes, but you have won against Indonesia. But again, a semi-final match, and we have the arch rival Malaysians waiting for us. So on a
Yeah,
3-0 this time for against Malaysia, or we gonna see some crazy thrashing victory against them?
I mean, never say never, but yeah, my record has been good in the last 2 days
Touch
against
wood.
Malaysia. So let's see. It hopes going on, and yeah, let's just hope for the best. That's all.
Looking forward to it as well because right now one of the strongest teams out here is Thailand and will probably face them into the future as
Yep.
well. And now since you've got Malaysia as well and we're probably going to face one more team once we go through this one, how are you handling all of that pressure, man? Because the competition in the group stages versus what it is right now, it has flipped entirely.
Yeah, it has flipped because after the Japan game, I was just very low on confidence because I didn't know what has happened and how did that happen. That was the question going on in my mind. But then I coped and just practiced and focused, and I got the job done. But of course, no more matches are there. But at least we have secured a spot in the big one. So that's a very very big
Yes.
statement right there for India.
Yeah, that huge congratulations, Daniel. Like making to the FIFA World Cup again at the global stage. We will be looking out for you at the bigger stage as well. But the job is not done. Region qualifier is still on the way. We'll
Yeah.
see you on the future matches as well. And I hope you lift the trophy this time around. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us.
so
All the
much.
best for your future
Thank you so
games.
much, Shubhang and Saiju. Thank you so
Good
much.
luck.
Bye-bye.
My guy, oh my goodness. I never would have thought that even his confidence could dwindle. But yeah, he mentioned that after that Japan game, he was kind of down on that. So it was understandable that the first one against Indonesia would be very neck
Yes,
and neck. But finally, he was able to bring it back in the second one.
man. But now the top four from the Asia and Oceania region. Thailand, flawless run, man. What a team they are becoming. Like, look at the upper bracket 4-0, or like 4-2 against Korea, 3-0 against Malaysia. Clean record till now. And then with Japan, similar things can be said again. With India, they have a good victory again, and then they go ahead just winning all those games. But now, with the
Real
lower
fight.
bracket teams, we have, I would say, somewhere more things to work around. We have more tactical changes to think about it. And I'd say that the victory and the losses have came at the perfect time. These losses will help us develop more into a better player.
And that is exactly what Daniel was mentioning as well, right? Because yes, there were some things that he could not really understand. All the lofted throughs were really going through, and things were becoming pretty difficult for him to handle. But it's absolutely fine. Now he's since once seen how those things were happening, he can prepare a counter strategy for that. He can develop a strategy in which those throughs will be stopped perfectly. He would be able to deal with it in the future. Those are the problems, right? You can falter once, it's totally fine. Learning from that mistake is what helps you grow, and this man has been growing from last year. That's a lot of experience being pulled in from this one lad though. And one of the big things is, again, you had Indonesia on the other side who had a coach as well.
Yes.
So there's the big things that have been constantly happening. But what's going to happen tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, since it's going to be even bigger than what happened today? We'll find all of that out tomorrow. That's going to be it from me, Sahishnu, and alongside me, Shubhank. We had an amazing day today. And again, a big congratulations to Daniel for qualifying for the global stage. But you all were watching the FIFA regional qualifiers for eFootball featuring mobile. We'll catch you guys tomorrow at the same time. Till then, bye-bye.